I use cannabis as a replacement for alcohol. I've substituted alcohol ever since I got diagnosed with hemochromatosis, which is a high iron overload which collects itself in your organs. And consuming cannabis through beverages has much less negative impact on your organs than alcohol, and that's the main reason I switched to cannabis. I'm Mark Mahoney, and I've been using cannabis for the last 3 years. And I started a cannabis-infused beverage company called The Drinkable Company. I've got an amazing wife and 2 boys, and those 2 boys actually got into the beverage business with me about 5 years ago and run our coffee business in Boston, which is called Atomic Coffee. As kind of the middle child of 6 kids, I was probably the first user of cannabis. My 2 older brothers were more into consuming alcohol, and I just gravitated toward cannabis. And I found personally that I had a much more relaxed and fun atmosphere with my friends when I smoked cannabis than I did when I consumed alcohol. I've had a bunch of friends that were a couple years older than I was consuming cannabis, and I tried it for the first time, and smoking just seemed to fit temperament much more so than alcohol. And that was around when I was about 15. Fast forward about 45 years, a good friend of mine and a business partner who was diagnosed with terminal cancer, liver and kidney disease, and he was predicted to live 5 more years, and that was 2.5 years ago, and he lived about 9 months. Chemo did not agree with him. They had to stop the treatments. I had the benefit of getting to spend a great deal of time with him almost every day the last few months of his life. And we had deep discussions about alcohol and drugs and how they can destroy your body. And with him, it was alcohol and hard drugs. He was pitching, don't drink, stop drinking, you shouldn't drink, et cetera, et cetera. And throughout my business life, the first 15 or so years, I would lose sleep. I would get stressed out over things. And my sleep wasn't great when I consumed alcohol. And the more alcohol beverages I had, the less sleep I would get. And I really didn't put it into practice until he died. So he died July 4th, 2 years ago. After that, I started recording my recovery, sleep, etc. through a Whoop bracelet. I started getting a lot of data when I consumed alcohol versus when I consumed cannabis. And if you did the readouts of, say, a month of doing cannabis versus a month of consuming alcohol, you would have thought you were tracking 2 different people. My sleep was better, my resting heart rate was better, my respiratory rate was better, my recovery was 20 digits higher than when I consumed alcohol. So 2+ years ago, I dropped off drinking alcohol by about 80 or 90%. 4 months ago, I got diagnosed with hemochromatosis, which is a high overload of iron, and it collects in your organs and can actually rot the organs internally. The best and fastest way to mitigate downstream damage on your organs is to give blood. And what that does is it fools your body into creating new blood cells and creating bone marrow. I've been giving blood now for almost 4 months, and I've gone from a very high number, over 2,500, and I'm happy to report that I'm down into the 600 range as of yesterday. The goal is to be between 200 and 400. So I give blood every Wednesday. I just build it into my routine and my schedule. And I've been fortunate that I haven't had any real issues in doing that. And I have a physical coming up tomorrow. We'll do a bunch of panels and make sure that everything is going the way it should, but I feel fine. About 3 years ago, I got involved with Levia. They were the first cannabis beverage company, and they've got a product called Dream, and I started experimenting with Dream, and it worked well. And I also at that time started purchasing edibles, gummy bears, chocolates, and I'm not the great candidate for edibles because it takes forever for me to have an effect. So if I took a gummy bear for sleep, I wouldn't feel really any effect or get any better sleep. And like anything else, it's trial and error. And I tell the cannabis curious or new customers of ours, start slow, drink half a beverage, wait 15 or 20 minutes, see what the effect is. A lot of people I've seen experience in edibles and drinkables is they have 2 or 3 and then all of a sudden a half an hour later they're, oh my God, what did I do? So we recommend to take it slow, and it is definitely an experiment because everybody's DNA and gut microbiome are different. I use cannabis on a daily basis, usually right after dinner. I love our cannabis beverage, Tiger Tea, and I'll just have a Tiger Tea while I'm reading and relaxing, and works great. It's a good setup for sleep, and like I said, I've been tracking it, and I think it works great. Everybody was doing seltzers, and myself and my team basically looked at that and said, well, people like sodas. I love a root beer or an orange every now and then, or a Diet Cola. And I said, let's give people what they're going to the C-stores and supermarkets for, right? We're one of the first to do a tea brand with THC, and we use real brewed tea. So we try to make the best possible products and infuse them with the best strains, our emulsion tech. And for me, safety is everything in consuming these products. Even though you can find cannabis in New York City in a C-store, if that product doesn't have a COA, it's not traceable, it doesn't have third-party testing, you're taking unnecessary risks. Doing your own diligence and investigation and research, and finding a friend or a mentor that is using it and how they're using it. The plant is really just coming on in terms of research worldwide, but there's a ton of information out there on what the plant is capable of and the different strains and CBD and the isolates in the plant, and just do your research and see if it's a good fit personally for you. But it's worked great for me. The beverage companies in cannabis have gotten to the point where the onset is as quick, the duration and the offset are very similar to alcohol, and I prefer it. So other than drinking 1 or 2 alcoholic beverages a month, I'm completely on cannabis now.
Learn more about cannabis and begin your medical cannabis journey at leafwell.com.